So right now we do have the FHA, we have the first time home buyer situation. But here's the problem. As we talk, we have 37% of the people in the country that are renters, and we've got 63% of the people that are homeowners. Homeowners is a misdescription of their true state of being, because what they really are, they're paying rent to the bank. And if they don't finish that rental contract with the bank, we call it a mortgage, but you call it whatever you like, but you don't get to keep that house until you've paid that 30-year mortgage or 25-year mortgage or 20-year mortgage, whatever it is. So you're essentially renting the property from the bank. When you look at the entire society, there's less than 5% of the homes that are actually owned outright by the homeowners. And that is the perfect position that we want people in across the society. Because when you own your own home, then your life is extremely stable. The amount of money that you need to bring into your household to support yourself is extremely low compared to everybody else. So I'll just give you a quick example on this topic to let you know I'm not talking pie in the sky stuff. My home in Washington, D.C., we bought this home with a check. We never borrowed a penny from any bank to buy our home in Washington, D.C. Now, granted, we got a really cheap price because the home had been destroyed by fire a few years before, and I rebuilt that home. And when I rebuilt that home, I used extra money out of my own pocket, and I did all the work myself. It took 5 years to do it. But the end result is my family and I own and live in this home, and our monthly bills, there's no mortgage, there's no rent. Literally, the only thing I have to pay is the annual property taxes and a water and electric bill. That's it. Those, if I didn't want any of the extras, like for example, homeowners insurance or internet or fancy entertainment systems. I mean, literally, I could have a very, very nice lifestyle with those three bills: the annual property tax, an electric bill, and a water bill. That's true ownership, okay? So that opens up so many possibilities for this kind of lifestyle to do other things, okay? Because you're not spending $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month to pay for your house. In Washington, D.C., houses are very, very expensive. People are paying $4,000 and $5,000 per month in rent. They are paying $4,000 or $5,000 a month for a mortgage. Now, granted, this is at the higher end of the housing cost scale, but it's the same across the country for everybody. I mean, as we talk right now, the average house price in America is about $425,000. That translates into a monthly mortgage payment of almost $4,000 if you're buying at those prices with the minimum down payment. So what it means is that's a lot of stress on the families across the country. You're trying to raise kids, you're trying to have a decent life, but with the current system, we are in fact forcing people into a very hectic type of lifestyle for most of their adult's life. And then, of course, we're talking about the people who have the credit score, who have a deposit, and who have a steady job, who can actually afford to pay that mortgage. But let's look at the 37% of the people that are renters. Well, their situation is completely different because their lives are unstable. They're going to be in and out of jobs. They can be evicted relatively easily, even in jurisdictions that are very tenant friendly. At the end of the day, if you don't pay your rent, sooner or later you're out on the street. So this creates a lot of instability within those families and within the lifestyles and mindsets of those renters. And we are enriching, the landlord section of society. The simple way to think about this is there is absolutely zero reason for Donald Trump to get $1 in rent from anybody. He's not worth it, okay? There is nothing of value about Donald Trump where he deserves billions of dollars in rental income from his properties. We don't need people like that. We want something different. We want citizens all across America to be very stable, rooted in their communities, to be participants in their communities, and to create a better family and community life. So that's the picture, and that's the problem. And what we want to do is we're going to introduce, we're going to tweak the FHA, let's put it that way. We're going to introduce some new provisions where every person will get one shot at buying a house in their lifetime. So much like the guaranteed student loans with education, let's say you graduate, you start a job, you get to some point where you want to settle down, you go off to the FHA, and you're going to be qualified for one guaranteed loan for a house your whole life. And we're not going to look at credit scores. We're going to look at, do you have a job? Do you have income? There will be a very low interest rate on that house purchase. We're not designing this system so it can enrich Wall Street. You know how I think about Wall Street if you look at my previous videos. We are designing a system that puts people in houses. So this person, let's just call it a hypothetical home buyer, finds his or her house, gets the FHA mortgage because they proved that they had a job, they had income, and they could actually pay the mortgage. Credit scores are out of the picture. Those are more hurtful than they are beneficial. We're not looking at credit scores. And then the repayment period on that first-time home buyer's loan is going to be that borrower's life. So that person is going to have the rest of their life to pay off that loan. Simple as that. And the reason why we want to do that is, again, we are creating maximum stability in that community, in that family. And then as we go through life, if, for example, the homeowner does not pay off that mortgage, okay, well, one day that homeowner is going to kick the bucket. Obviously, it's a dreadful thing, but it happens to everybody. Homeowner kicks the bucket. So at that moment in time, the heirs have a choice. They're going to have to pay off the mortgage, or that house will be sold on the market at whatever the price is, what the market rates are at that particular time. And then the money from the sale of that house will first cover the mortgage that buyer took out, and then any remainder would go to the heirs. So what we're doing is we're stretching out the repayment period. We're taking away the punitive foreclosure behavior of the system simply because life happens. People lose jobs. People get sick. We have no benefit in putting millions of people out on the street to live. And the homeless programs we have to talk about, the mental health programs we have to talk about, we need to go into more detail in another day, but all these issues are tied together. So people have misfortunes in their life. Just because they have a misfortune does not mean they should then wind up on the street.